Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be reviewing the 2003 film Mystic River, and we are joined by a very special guest. He has been on the pod with us on some pretty big iconic episodes: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon. We've done some TV and Us reviews.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey Part 2.
The most important one. Philip is back, y'all. Philip, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. Phil Marinello from the Substance Podcast. And like they said, several episodes. You guys are probably, you're one of. I mean, there's a few shows that I've done, just people I've known for a long time. But when I look at the numbers, I bet your show is probably one of the top shows I've guested on. So it's always fun to listen and chat with you guys.
Yes, we absolutely
And now we're doing it
and
on video, so...
I know.
Out of control Blu-ray storage behind me here is going to be on the feed.
Do you have a whole physical media evangelism monologue for people?
Well, especially as of the week of recording, I think a lot of people are thinking about that. It's streaming is temporary. You don't own it. A lot of these companies don't have your best interest at heart or are doing good in the world. So if you want to watch good stuff, and right now in particularly, genuinely, we're kind of in the golden age of home video because you've got Criterion, Radiance, Indicator, Imprint, Kino, Arrow. There's so many companies putting out not just movies that you can watch, but really great packages with great special features and essays and art. It's a wonderful time if you're a cinema lover.
Yeah, and the quality of the visuals are better and all of that.
Way better.
Yeah.
Even if you've got Google Fiber, even if it's just a Blu-ray, it looks better. There's no buffering.
There's no buffering. That's just key. Vital. As the artist intended it, Okay, well, Sarah, do you want to kick us off with an IMDb summary for Mystic River as we dive in?
Sure. The tragic murder of a 19-year-old girl reunites three childhood friends still living in Boston: the victim's gangster father, a detective, and the disturbed man they both suspect of killing her.
All right. So in Movies and Us tradition, we start off with our one-sentence summaries. Philip, as our guest, what is yours?
I ran this by the hosts beforehand, but light spoilers here if anybody cares about a 20-plus year spoiler if you haven't watched it. Watch the movie. It's very good, but so mine is: men will literally kill multiple childhood friends instead of going to therapy.
Right? Man.
Solid.
Yeah. Years of stuff undealt with, unprocessed. Well done. Sarah, what is your one-sentence summary?
Mine is: sometimes reality is scarier than any ghost, vampire, or werewolf.
Oh, yes. Yeah, indeed. Whole humans that are doing some business out here in the streets.
Yeah.
My one-sentence summary is: that's why the river is so big. It's full of secrets. Anyone knows?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Girls. Okay, well, let's dive in. We're going to share our kind of spoiler-free review of this so far, and then we'll give a spoiler, and then we'll dive fully in. So I'm curious, Philip, if this is a film that you've seen multiple times. Is this one that is kind of one of the ones that you enjoyed a lot, and how this most recent watch informed or maybe changed your opinions about this movie, Mystic River?
Yeah, no, this is a movie I saw it right when it came out. I don't think I saw it in theater, but either VHS or DVD right when it came out. I remember seeing it. And that was when because you said 2003. So I was still in high school. And I grew up a movie lover, but that's kind of when I was understanding more about the whole process and not just enjoying watching movies. And I mean, my dad and I were big Clint Eastwood fans. I liked Kevin Bacon. I liked Sean Penn. Shawshank Redemption I'd seen 1,000 times, and I recognized Tim Robbins. And I loved it. I thought it was incredible when I was young. I still thought it was very good. It tempered a little bit for me, but it was one of those movies that I saw when I was like a younger teenager, and I was just like, "Oh, this is adult drama. Like this is peak movie making." And it was still very, very good. And yeah, crime. I've not read like loads of his work, but I enjoy Dennis Lehane. Uh,
Mm.
right after I saw the movie, I read the book, and I thought the book was great. I thought it was a good adaptation. So yeah, this is one that it's not like a crazy personal one to me, but it's one I vividly remember just kind of championing and following the awards circuit for it. And just, yeah, I loved this movie when it came out, and I still like it quite a bit.
All right. What about you, Sarah? We're going to round table this and then talk about some. It's hard to talk about this movie without talking about the plot points, I feel like, because there's so much that happens in this. But high level thoughts, Sarah, about Mystic River. Had you seen this before? Thoughts about the film?
Yeah, I had seen this before. I watched this in 2019, and I remember the process of watching the movie, but I didn't remember the movie. So I don't know how I like memory hold this movie, but I did. So I was really excited to revisit it again, and it's a very well made movie, kind of like you, Philip. Like, it's not like the greatest thing ever made, but it's a solid movie. It'll really like draw you in and engross you in this story and what's going on. I was really just impressed at how this feels so like rooted and grounded in place. You feel like you are in this neighborhood with these people and living life with them. And then the performances are just fantastic. The award-winning performances are fantastic. So yeah, just really impressed by it. Solid film. Had a good time revisiting it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think this film's solid. Like we've all been saying, I think that there's some dynamics that I wished that the film could have drawn out a little bit more, or at least had some of those emotional beats be played up a little bit more. And I do wonder in the book that it's based off of, if they spend more time leaning into those things. This film is, I would say, pretty plot driven. There's some moments where we get to see some kind of like character revealing moments and choices. But I almost wish that they leaned into that a little bit more heavily. I mean, this is about three childhood friends and the kind of ways that they've like life has taken them in different places, and so them coming back together again, I thought that there was going to be more that would happen on that front. And I would say the film's not focused and not interested in that. It's more interested in some of these other things, and so I think that is a unexpected part for me, I guess, of like where I thought this could be going, and then I think what I actually get with that whole friend dynamic between them is a little bit more understated and less focused on. Yeah, so I would say on the whole, this is pretty solid. A lot of the acting, I think, is the best part of this movie. To be honest, I think you throw some other like more mediocre actors in there, and I think it's a solid story. That it's a interesting watch for when you're looking for something to put on. But I think it's the performances that really make this feel a lot more dynamic and a lot more electric than the story itself on paper perhaps is alone.
Jen, you're not a big letterboxer, so I couldn't tell. Is this your first watch, or had you
Oh
seen this
yes,
before?
this is my first watch. Yeah. Does it get better with time? Like on the second watch? Does it
I think it
deepen?
would. Like, I
Okay.
would maybe push back slightly, and I'd be
Okay.
curious to see what Sarah thinks. Like, I think the character work was absolutely there, but it was kind of understated because of the plot. But I do think, and I'm sure the book, obviously, as a novel, it does more. And I haven't read it in probably 20 years since the movie came out. But I think that a lot of the little moments, because they're all in, the three friends are all in such different places, I think that in some ways, yeah, that is done kind of the plot of the movie, but the way those men just kind of sit in the realities of their various characters. So I don't entirely disagree, but I did think the character was strong. That's part writing, part acting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious. A lot of times things are timely or whatever. What made this episode happen? Why are we covering Mystic River? It's a great movie, but did somebody suggest it? It's not an anniversary. What went into that decision?
We have been watching so many 2003 movies over the past
Okay,
several months because we're doing the 2003 movie year with
got it.
yep, before I even said it, you know exactly whose podcast we're going to be
He's
talking
pitched it
about.
to me, and it sounds great, but I'm like, guy, I cannot do that. I would love
Yeah,
to,
so
like, if I didn't have to rewatch, like, but
so many movies.
oof,
Yeah, where it's
sounds fun
basically
though.
2003 and Jed and Sarah world at this point.
Got it. I like
Yeah, so
it.
it's Andrew Korn's revisionist almanac. He has an amazing show where he takes Academy Award years and rewrites history. It's really great. But if we want to propose some alternate things, we got to watch a lot of things to have some alternate suggestions. So
That makes
that is why.
sense. That makes a lot of sense, and it's great feeder fierce. You're like, well, that takes the decision making out. We'll do one or two 2003 movies every month until
Exactly.
it's time for that ep.
Yeah, I think we started like 6 months ago, and like every few weeks we got another 2003 movie on the feed. So at this point, we
Wow,
give
wow,
us the
wow.
like disclaimer. We're like, you might have seen there's a lot of 2003 movies on the feed lately. This is why.
Well, I
Um,
look forward to your episode.
yeah, yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. Yeah, so this was my first time watching this movie, and I was curious if there's more like subtle things that this movie is doing in some of those character dynamics. And maybe my like most of my attention was paid on the unfurling story of
Yeah, the
what
mystery,
happened.
like what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's give a spoiler alert. So, if you haven't seen Mystic River, we're diving fully in. This is a story about a murder. So, obviously, if you don't want to know who done it, go watch the movie and then come back and listen. So, I'm curious for especially both of you on this rewatch. What are some of the things that came to light more fully in this most recent watch that perhaps all of those previous times that you'd seen this movie didn't come out as much, or just that you found yourself mulling on a little bit more?
Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah, I referenced it a little bit earlier, but I was just really taken by how like lived in this felt. You know, you're spending so much time in this neighborhood, you're spending time in people's homes that look lived in, like families actually live there, and it just feels so grounded and so real and so like you couldn't have this movie without this place. And then I even read after watching it that the studio wanted to move production to I think like Toronto or something, and Clint Eastwood fought for them to film in Boston because he knew that it needed to be filmed there. And I think that that decision is so smart and completely pays off because if you had filmed this somewhere else, I don't think it would have that same like lived in authenticity that you get with the version of the film that we have.
Totally. And I mean, as somebody who has seen the movie multiple times and
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for where is this going, I think that definitely played a part. And just the talent of our three leads. I believe this whole thing. I believe the dynamic. I believe the place. I sadly believe the plot. Um, yeah, it felt very. I think lived in is a great descriptor. I'll say for me, kind of on a lighter note. I don't know. Either I forgot or I didn't realize because I was young. But the accent work in here is something. Uh, I'm a big fan of The Departed, and while I can go,
Yes.
yeah, it's a little whatever. The accent work in this movie was regularly making me go, okay, just don't do it. Like you don't have to do it at all. If you're not going to get a really good dialect coach and like try to really nail it, just be yourself. Don't do it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You can be a transplant. You moved here later on in life, took your family and picked up and moved here. Um, I do think that one of my notes was that blue collar Boston is like a whole character in this movie. It feels significant to the world and kind of the psyche and mental spaces that everybody's in. Um, in general, visually, this film is so cool toned and there's so much just grays and blue hues throughout
Very
this entire.
dingy.
Yes, exactly. Like you really feel how much like that place creates these communities and these kind of like these mental spaces that like brew and can really feel stifling. And so I thought that was really
Which is
interesting.
what makes the whole movie so sad because,
Yeah,
I mean, I
there's
think we should talk about the masterful and horrific intro scene, but the crux of the movie is the murder of adult Sean Penn's daughter on the eve of her deciding to actually try to get out of town.
Mhm. Yeah, actually
She's like, "Yeah,
that's quite true.
this is not the environment I want to spend the rest of my life in." And she's this young, beautiful, vibrant, like in love, got her life ahead of her young woman, and then it's cut short.
Mhm. Mhm. and and you feel also just how much like life has worn out these three men as they're
Oof.
living their lives. I think that was like so palpably felt. You feel the burden that they've carried. You feel just how much they've been weathered through so many storms and are just almost in survival mode at the beginning of this movie. All of them, like they are trying to do their best, stewarding their families and their places as best they can, but like they are not thriving the beginning of the movie and they're definitely not thriving at the end of the movie. But I think that is part of the like vibe and the atmosphere that this neighborhood, this part of Boston, this time of year in Boston is creating for them too.
Well, and everybody knows everybody else too, and so I think that that's
Yeah.
also an interesting, dynamic. They're from the neighborhood, so
Totally.
everybody is in everybody else's business. They know everybody's family, going back generations, able to talk about so and so's dad or whatever. And so I think that also adds a piece to it too, that like yeah, they're in the present, but there's also this like pull toward like history and like what used to be. And of course, if you go through a traumatic event like the opening
Whew.
scene of this movie and you're still living on that same street,
Yeah.
like you're just haunted by that. And I feel like the film and the performances do a great job of bringing that in. And you just know that that is constantly weighing on them, even if they try and shake it and get rid of it.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing this when it first came out and being horrified by the intro. Like, it's still powerful, but just seeing that as a young kid, I was like, my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
And it's done so the way that it's done, you completely get everything that's happening, but it's not over the top. It's not
Mm.
super graphic or brutal. But in doing that, I think the film is even more powerful.
Yeah, I was glad to see how little this film in general chooses to not lean into melodrama. I have a whole soapbox that I like to get on around like manipulative melodrama that I just hate, where they're doing it just for the spectacle and for the emotion and whatnot. And even Jimmy's daughter's death sequence, like we don't actually see any of it. We see the investigation afterwards, and that's handled with care. And so I was surprised by that because the vibes of this movie, you're prepared to see something terribly gruesome. Like I was bracing myself for it because you feel like this film in this city in this environment, it's so dreary, it's so dark that they would choose to go there, but they actually for the most part don't, and they're so focused on everybody's reactions to it instead of the graphic details of all of it. And
Other than
I
Sean
like that.
Penn's big "Is that my daughter?"
Yeah.
like that's the
Yeah, that
big
was a little bit, yeah.
capital A acting scene.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty subdued. Do you want to, for listeners? I'm sure many people have not seen this movie, and they may or may not go back. Do you want to talk about specifically what happens in the intro scene to kind of set everybody on their path?
Oh yeah. Uh like a refresher of kind of the plot plot points of that opening
Well, no, yeah, just
sequence?
the what did I forgot already? What did the IMDb thing
Yeah.
say? Did it actually tell
Well,
us
it's
what
probably
happened?
vague, right? It like tries to
'Cause, I mean, that's
keep it
literally
vague.
like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, it just it doesn't focus on the beginning. So the
Okay.
IMDb summary focuses on the death of
Oh, the death of the okay,
Emmy
because it is a
Ross's
bit of a murder
character.
mystery, and that's a good way
Yeah,
to kinda sell a movie. It's like
yeah.
3 childhood
Yeah.
friends, grown-up
Mhm.
murder mystery. But yeah, the
Yeah,
beginning, you see them, just playing in the street, and one of the kids gets abducted
yeah.
by these 2 creeps pretending to be cops, is abused for 4 days straight, gets away, and is damaged for life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a horrific scene. Actually, that was the one thing, don't want to make too much light of it, but thinking about the time and thinking about the place, those 2 dads that were like smoking on the balcony, being so intuitive and interested about the missing kid, I was like, I don't know how true that rings for the time period. They're like, he's gone, he'll be back. Like that felt a little contrived, frankly. I don't make light. I mean, it's a story. But yeah, one of the kids was abducted, and these 2 dads smoking on the porch were very intuitive and very alert. And I was like, that would be cool. I hope that would have happened.
I hope people are that generous and kind and caring and selfless. But the reality is, like, a lot of people are like, I gotta go to work. Like, my shift is starting in 15
Yeah, I
minutes.
think
Like, I
parents in
don't
those
got
side. But I mean,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, and those 2 kids feeling
Yeah.
various degrees of responsibility for that. Actually, that's maybe what I thought about a little bit more. So the
Mm-hmm.
the boys who grow up to be Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon were not the kids who got abducted. Tim Robbins is the kid who got abducted and abused. And the way those 2 men kind of go into protector mode in very different ways. Like Sean Penn kind of becomes the low level local kingpin, and Kevin Bacon
Yeah.
becomes a cop. And like that's the way Sean Penn has his guys, his crew, um, and he keeps his order that way. And Kevin Bacon has the law. And
Yeah.
I guess that was maybe something that maybe hadn't occurred to me before.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah. And I love that, you know, like obviously we know that Dave is going to be scarred by this and have so much PTSD because he was the one that was taken and abused and all of that. But I love that this film also highlights that the other two also are dealing with a lot of things and they were
Survivor skill,
also
yeah.
impacted, exactly, they were also impacted by this event. They weren't taken, but it's still affecting them and they're still thinking about it all the time. I forget which character asks, but is like, what if it had been me
Yeah,
in that
Sean
car?
Penn
What if
says
Oh,
I had
that,
been
yeah.
yeah.
taken? And so I appreciate that the film takes us into that guilt that they're feeling. I feel like that's a really important, you know, foundation for the whole film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can see that they've also perhaps not really fully dealt with it too. I think that's why, like, that
At all.
ending.
Anybody.
Yeah, at all. Hence your one sentence summary, Philip. Honestly, uh, and so while that ending shot of the 2 of them standing back in that street again is, um, it's
And him,
obviously
like,
like,
the car
yeah,
slowly going away and him looking out the rear view window, like, that oof, yeah, that was really,
horrifying. I
really
know.
effective.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But that ending is cathartic because the 2 of them finally acknowledge and are facing the thing that they would probably would run from in any other conversation. And so for the 2 of them to kind of even just acknowledge that together with each other feels like a opening up, a step towards them beginning to heal and process from this in some small way. And it almost is like tragic too, because obviously it had to come to this for them to finally have some sort of acknowledgement of everything that happened. You just feel the fact that both of them were running from it their entire lives. Um, Dave too, honestly, Dave too.
Well, and what that leads Sean Penn to, we could say maybe in one instance, both illegally and very immoral, but in one instance correctly, in one instance incorrectly, taking vengeance into his own hands. Uh,
Yeah,
he should have had many conversations with many other people. I'm glad that he's maybe making some baby steps, but I don't think he's super well on the path to knowledge, self knowledge, and healing.
Mm. Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
okay, this was an interesting part of this ending, which is Jimmy's wife essentially looking to soothe his guilt and kind of help him clear his conscience at the ending there. What were your thoughts and interpretations of that sequence? I thought it was a fascinating choice to have that denouement scene last for so long and feel like such an exclamation point on this film.
What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because that's the most time I think that we spend with his wife. Like she's there in the film and she's present, but I feel like that monologue is the most of her dialogue throughout the movie. And so it's so interesting cuz she seems so like quiet and demure and reserved for a lot of the film, and then you have this moment where and I found myself like wondering like why is she with him? Like this seems like a weird pairing here, these two, because their demeanors are just so different. And then you have this ending scene, and it's like, oh no, she's more into this than I initially thought that she was, and she's more okay with this than I would have thought that she was. So I think it's an interesting way to like reframe this character who has kind of been in the background for the entire movie. It's just I don't know, it's just fascinating. We finally meet her in like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, that's also interesting given your guys' TV and Us journey right now. Kind of another mob wife picture.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel bad to say our little Sopranos side tangent here for a second. We are so captivated by what is up with Carmela and everything that she is capable of, but also where the show's writing her to. So yes, great connection point there. She's on a whole journey. We're in the middle of season 1 right now, but yeah, I simultaneously am like fascinated by their relationship, but then I also feel like she is trying to help him soothe his guilt. Understandably so, he has a lot of it. But it also feels like such a deviation away from the path of like truly coming to terms with a lot of things in himself. Like it's a form of rewriting a narrative that feels comfortable, feels better, can get you through the next couple of months. But I'm like, that doesn't clear it really, you know? And so it felt I don't know, maybe it ended on his arc ends a little bit more on a tragic note for me because I think that
Oh, very
there's a
much.
lot more, there's so much more turmoil in him that he's going to have to deal with and face. And you can see that
Or
he's on the
not.
path or not and choosing to believe this false narrative, but it's going to come back for him. And so I feel like that was a fascinating part of this character's ending that is like, oh man, this is not true healing, true transformation for you, but I understand it's too painful to have to face. So for right
Well, and
now,
it's not just too painful. His whole lifestyle and everything, like, to truly face it, he'd have to turn himself in and go to prison for the rest of his
yeah,
life.
yeah,
So he's probably not going to do that. And she probably
no,
doesn't want him to do that.
yeah,
So her options are to either ignore it and let it fester or try to get some sort of surface level soothing because in this broken world, blah, blah, blah. Like, he
yeah,
didn't do it out of malice or hate or like power or greed. He was convinced that his childhood friend had murdered his daughter. And if that was the case, it would be very easy to understand that
mm-hmm,
murder.
mm-hmm.
But then when he realizes that, man,
Guilt.
his childhood best friend who got abused was just messed up and he kind of got it in his head and then he killed him. Like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Shucks. That's an impossible pill to swallow.
So
Yeah,
her options are let it fester,
yeah.
true healing, go to prison, or just be like, you did your best. Like, you're the guy on top. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, but it's like the language she uses too, though, is like you are the king, like she really indulges in it so that he can really receive it. I don't know.
I remember thinking that was the coolest crap when I was like 14 when this came out.
Yeah, you're probably like, yeah, man. And now as an adult, I'm like, that's a little, it's not quite right, but it's okay. I get why you're doing it. I understand. You have
Well,
to
and
tell
that
the
line too
narratives
is
to
so
yourself.
because he's
Yeah.
got Tim Robbins' character has got a young
Mm.
kid, and that line about what, like, are you going to give her like the what? Are you going to pay her 500 a month too, or whatever he says? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he's going to be paying
Yeah.
in all of the way, like financially and just
Emotionally.
spiritually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, what? Like, what do you like? You're probably not gonna. I don't know what forensics were like at the time that this was supposed to be portrayed. He's probably not gonna get caught, but he's just gonna have to deal with the guilt of murdering his childhood best friend who had a really hard life.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's a downer.
It's a real downer. Yeah, so I was just
It's a
thinking
great
that. I
movie,
was
but it's a bummer.
it's like, I'm so glad this movie is over because we can get out of this town and escape out of this world. And the thing is, like, you just feel that, like, it's that the future is not looking bright. This does not end on like and they are now set on a better path. The future does not look wonderful for any of them.
No,
I
literally
mean,
nobody.
like, let's talk about Sean's character throughout this film. One of the things I loved about the relationship dynamics with Sean and Lawrence Fishburne's character is seeing how much there is this like inherent hopefulness in Sean and this protectiveness that he doesn't want to acknowledge or even fathom the possibility that Dave is the killer. Just like it's like this earnestness of like, no, I don't like surely couldn't be him. No, I don't think so. And just this like because the bonds go so far back, it's he can't even get himself to think,
Well, yeah, and he really
yeah,
cares for him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thoughts on his story arc that he goes on
Kevin
in his
Bacon's
reign?
character.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's character. The one who's working for the department.
I mean, he's maybe the least interesting one in a way because he is the cop, but that
Mm.
is the thing that drives the plot. I love the good cop bad cop scene where Tim Robbins like knows he didn't do it, knows they're messing with him, and then the whole like they kind of weaselly got his car and searched it, and he's like, well, whoever stole it, like that was a wonderful scene. That was maybe my favorite like individual scene rewatching this time.
Mm.
I thought Lawrence Fishburne was actually kind of hilarious. I forgot what
Yeah.
his character was like, and that is not a typical Lawrence Fishburne character.
Also, Lawrence Fishburne does not age. I'm convinced. Like whatever he's doing is doing great because he looks the same. And literally 2 decades later, it's quite impressive. Well done. Like he looks like that's how he would look at a movie today. Wild.
Yeah, but that interrogation scene is one of my favorite scenes as well, and I love how it balances humor and tension at the same time. And there's a lightheartedness to it, but there's also stakes, and there's so much subtext in everything that everyone is saying. And so they're like, it's an interrogation scene. We've seen those a million times, and yet it manages to feel fresh and exciting and new. And I think it's partially because of like the acting, like we've talked about, but also there where it comes in the film
Mhm.
and everything that we've seen coming up to this point, I think really helps inform all of the knowledge that we have coming into the interrogation room. So we're able to understand those additional layers of meaning kind of under the surface, which help make it just extra delightful to watch in a very dreary movie.
Yeah, it's a really expertly crafted scene.
And I think the blocking is pretty great too. The timing too of like Sean Penn, is it time now to get the soda? You know, like just the blank stares. I really feel like this movie would really suffer without the acting. Like because on paper that scene is interesting enough, but it's the performances, the facial expressions, the like side eye glances that bring that to life far more than it is the actual like writing itself. I would say like there's so much subtext and dynamics that are being communicated non-verbally in that sequence that makes it as fun as it is versus like I think I just don't know like on paper it's funny, but it's so much more dynamic with the pacing and timing and glances that everyone is sharing across the room with each other.
And I also think I hadn't really thought about this up until now, but I think that's probably pretty clearly actually Tim Robbins' best scene in the realm of like that's where his character is functioning the best. Like
Yeah.
he's a very broken guy. We see him walking his kid to school. He's trying to be an okay dad. We see him trying to communicate with his wife. We see him like he's got a drinking problem because he's coping poorly with unprocessed trauma. He's kind of an insomniac. He's staying up, watching stuff, drinking late with his friends. But then in that scene, even through all that, he's like, I didn't do this. I know what's happening. We have a history. I know the law. I know my rights. I know what I did and didn't do. And like that's kind of the one scene where he is got in any sort of control. And it's a scene where he is being interrogated. So like all those things together equal a very effective scene.
Yeah. Yeah. He does the like stewing, brooding, like there's more beneath the surface, but he's not none of it's coming out. It's all internal in
Well, he's
him.
frustrated, but then he
Yeah.
realizes like when he realizes the car thing and he just takes the wind out of Lawrence Fishburne's sails. He's like, "Well, what do you mean there's blood in the trunk? Like, why would that have anything to do with me? My car hasn't been in my possession for the last 12 hours because somebody took it and they took it illegally to try to search it and find evidence. They found evidence, but then he's like, well, somebody took my car. Who knows what happened to my car while it was not in my possession?" And that was that was so sweet when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so satisfying because, you know, before we go into the interrogation room, we have that conversation between the cops and they're debating this whole thing, this illegal search and seizure. And so we have all the knowledge about where both of them are in regards to this search. And we have all the details. And then we come in, we have more knowledge than Dave does at the beginning, but it's cool
Totally.
to see him like piece it together as the conversation goes. And to your point, Philip, like we see he is sharp at times, and he's more in the know at times than we maybe would think that he is.
Yeah, and we feel the same excitement, dopamine hit, I guess, like the satisfaction that Lawrence Fishburne feels when he like jumps up out of the chair. He's like, ah, no, but see, it was a different blood type. Yep. And so I think that's also fascinating because then Dave has the final word in that one and kind of tricks him back and it's like, the whole bit around but if it's a stolen car, then what happens between when I had it and when it was stolen? I'm sure it was the people that stole it that might be responsible. So you see the tides changing and turning between their little intellectual battle that they're doing together of trying
And then
to
he asks for the
corner each
Sprite.
other. Yeah, yeah, with the most smug look on his face too. How's about that time for that Sprite, eh?
um
It's good.
I had only really remembered it for the plot, but another character that really goes through it is the daughter's boyfriend, the guy who she was trying to run away with.
Oh my gosh.
He's got a real real bad deal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we learn the reason like Sean Penn has it out for him through the whole movie, and you think that that's because he doesn't want him dating his daughter, but then we eventually learn that his daughter's boyfriend's father initially ratted Sean Penn out and was the reason he was in jail. And when he got
Mhm.
out of jail, Sean Penn killed this guy's dad, and he feels guilt. And we later learn like he's the one sending the payments monthly to. He is raising this kid. Like Sean Penn is raising this kid because he feels guilty for murdering his dad.
Yeah.
And that's this kid's whole life, thinking his dad is alive when he's not. Um, falling in love, and his
Losing his
girlfriend's
girlfriend.
father hating him. Then his girlfriend dying.
Dies
And then,
brutally.
spoiler alert, we eventually learn that his girlfriend died because his little brother and his little brother's friend were messing around and it got out of hand.
Yeah.
And he almost beats his little brother to death. Like, that's his story.
Yikes. You know?
Yeah, that's rough.
Mystic River, the next generation. They're not doing so hot. Like, they're not
Honestly,
doing
though.
well.
It's a bad deal. That guy's going to need a
Oh,
lot of therapy. And he's young
Yeah.
enough, maybe he'll find something, but
yeah.
yikes. Not a great place to start.
No, not good. You know who else has kind of it rough too? Gosh, I think we're just like
Everyone.
fixing with everybody in this. Celeste, you know,
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
you feel every scene that she's in. She's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. And I mean, one, finding out that her husband has experienced some really deep trauma that she wasn't even aware of.
Okay, yeah.
She
How
then,
much do we think she knew when they
right?
were like dating or before they get married? Because
I
like
think none at all.
everybody kind of sort of half knows, but it seems like in this movie it was
Yeah.
revealed to her. So
Yeah.
like, how did she not know that?
Right? I know. I That's the thing that I also was wondering about is that uh you would think that everybody knows, perhaps she doesn't know because no one has told her, but it's kind of like everybody knows that, but then you realize that you didn't know the whole
But nobody
time.
wants to talk
No,
about it
tell her. Yeah,
explicitly.
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, who
Exactly.
knows where they met or what but like, you would
So no one's
think
going to tell her that.
that's kind of foundational to his existence, but it
Yeah.
kind of seems like she doesn't fully have a picture of what happened, which is insane.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, that repression, though, if you just don't talk about it, then it just goes away. So I
Well,
could
yeah.
I could see people not wanting to talk about it,
And at
and
that time, if
obviously,
you're a
like Dave
man
not
and
wanting
that
to talk about
happens to
it.
you, like,
Yeah.
even now, like men, when that happens to them, that's not really a thing they like to talk about.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Or any victim, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a fun thing to kind of divulge to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we
Because, like, she
really,
cares about him,
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
but she doesn't understand him. And because she doesn't understand him, she kind of signs his death warrant a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's also like recognize like being it's almost like it's so hard for us as the viewers because we really can empathize with like everybody on all sides of this whole thing. Whereas it's so much easier when we watch a movie and there's a clear like side that we're rooting for and there's a foe. Like this one where like everyone is suffering. You know, for her, I mean, clearly David's suffering. We empathize. We watch that sequence from the beginning, so we have immediate empathy for him the entire movie. But for her, you're seeing her entire life fall apart. This family, this life that she's built together with someone completely crumble, and then now she's lost her husband too, which like we don't get to see the after effects of her having to find out that their husband is missing and aka somewhere in the Mystic River. Like just everything in her world crumbles as well, and her having to face and deal with all of the challenges that come with that too. Like we really feel for that, and she's trying to be there for him. She's trying to understand, and just unable to, obviously. But
Well, yeah, she thought he was guilty. And in her trying to, like, do what she kind of thought was right,
morally right,
she ended
yeah.
up she thought that he had killed Sean Penn's daughter. So she communicates that to Sean Penn and is
Pen,
then therefore responsible for Sean Penn's murder of her husband, then the father of her child. Like, that's on her,
the guilt
even though
for
she meant
her.
well.
Yeah, the guilt for her too of knowing that she like led Sean Penn to her husband's death. Like, how do you deal with that? Everyone is not doing well.
You hope he keeps committing
Yeah.
enough crimes so that he can keep taking care of you and your child.
Yeah.
There you go. The Mystic River is a big place, you know. We can
It
throw a
can
few
hold a
more
lot of
bodies in
body.
there.
Yeah,
It's
there we
fine.
go.
Did we think it was cheesy, or did they pull it off kind of poetically of Tim Robbins getting in the car with those two goons and kind of having a an echo of the scene at the beginning when he was going to actually die? When they're like, "Hey, get in the car." And it was
Mm.
clear that this is not a great situation once again.
The opening when they're young, the three of them are young.
No, the Sean Penn's two
Oh.
goons, the brothers, when they're like, "Hey, get in the
Oh.
car," and it's kind of a an echo of that first scene. Do we think that that was a little corny, or did he pull that off? Because again, he's in the back seat, looking out the back, going to
Yeah.
a bad destination.
There's a couple of scenes. I mean, I think it was a little bit like so heavy handed that I'm like, okay, I see what we're doing here.
I
Uh,
I did too on this viewing.
yeah. But there's a couple of scenes like that that I think are just like leaning into that stuff because it's a movie and it's also it's very 2000s too, you know. I think honestly, it's like there's this earnestness with like we're gonna do something cool and clever. We want to make sure you know it. Uh, that is kind of just like the way movies were then too. Yeah, so I kind of chalked it up to that. There's a lot of like some overacting parts, like capital A acting from Sean Penn, that I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that thing. Didn't really work for me, but Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's just the time and you know, it just is what it is. And I think it's those moments that are a little over the top, I think almost adds to like the charm of this movie. Like this movie doesn't have charm, but there's something like kind of quaint about that I think kind of adds to this. And like,
It's
man, this
2000s.
movie is so dreary. It's so dark. So like, okay, we're leaning into a little cheese. I'm okay with it. I will take it because the alternative is very dark. So, well, I'll take what we can get as a slight reprieve.
Yeah, I'm still fine with dark, but I used to love like the dark dramas, and now with the world being what it is, uh,
Oh, yeah.
the super dark and dreary is not my go to flavor right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you bring up that like way of describing it, Sarah, around like there's like a charm or an earnest, like a endearing way that this film is doing dreary, which I think is so true. And that's the like 2000s-ness of it all. It's like earnestly doing dreary. We're gonna do dreary, you know, which is very different from I think some of the truly, like you're saying, Philip, like dark, like truly cynical, dark stuff that we I think see more these days that are really like leaning heavily into it and not even trying to make it palatable in any way, just kind of like smacking you over the head with it. Versus this one's like, come along now, we're gonna go enter a place that is not a town far, far away in a distant land called Boston, you know, where people live like this and it's a little world
And the
in a snow
accents are
globe.
definitely accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other big things that we wanted to mention and talk about with this? Actually, Sarah, I had a question for you, which is around I know you love like detective, murder, mystery genre content. And how did this land with you? And what does this film do that is in line with or perhaps very different from some of the other many pieces of IP that are tackling the same genre?
The first time you
I
saw it,
was
did you
thinking,
think he did it?
Here's the thing. I don't remember. I
Oh,
remember the experience of watching the movie, but I don't remember the
oh, this
movie.
time did you think he did it?
No.
it's too
Because
obvious.
it's too obvious.
Yeah.
And there is that like long shot of Brendan and his brother in the store, and it lingers on them for so long. And then you hear the 911 tape, and it's a kid. And so it's like, oh, it has to be one of the kids that did it.
Mm.
So that's kind of where my mind went. I was immediately suspicious of the children. I don't know what that says about me. Um, but I think that this is one of those, like, there's some detecting in this, and it is a mystery, but it's not primarily focused on the detecting. And so it's one of those interesting like mixes where there's a little mystery, a little detective business, but it's mostly just like drama and sitting with these
Mm.
people as they are just suffering is really just what
Totally.
it is. And so I think that that's, I don't know, I wouldn't classify this. There is a mystery to it, but I
Yeah,
don't
this is
think
not
that that is
detective
the
fiction.
main. Yeah, it's not, a police procedural. So
This could
yeah,
almost be a stage play, I feel like.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like scenes and characters. It's not like
Hmm.
super intricate.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, they don't do a lot of detecting, and if so, like I think it's smart for the film to not spend that much time on the like, oh, and we're gonna do this research and we're gonna look into this thing because like it's not that the twists and turns aren't very interesting on that aspect. The most interesting part is seeing how everybody is making decisions and choices to try and find some sort of answers in what is an impossible situation. Like I found the most interesting part of this movie being Sean Penn's character, like having to deal with the emotions of the moment, having to be strong for his family and for his wife, and also wanting to find answers and kind of deploying his community to go and find justice in some way. Like that was the center of the story for me. And so all the stuff that Kevin Bacon's character is doing, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. They're doing some detecting stuff. But the center core, the heart of this movie really is Sean Penn's journey, I would say. Like, there's obviously like three protagonists, but he really is the primary protagonist in my view of this movie.
Definitely. He had one best actor that year.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
I think another piece of this that makes this film like all the more tragic is if the detectives had actually listened to the 911 tape earlier,
Oh,
then Dave would still be alive. And I think that it's really interesting
good.
that that's kind of where the movie ends, cuz like, I don't know, beginning part of it, Sean Penn's goons are like, nah, the detectives are doing their job. They're asking all the people, like, they're doing it right. They're leading a good investigation. And then we find out in the end, actually, they overlooked a really crucial piece of evidence that really held the key to everything. So it's this like irony and tragedy all rolled up
Mm,
into one.
Which feels real enough that you buy that.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, man.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially in a small town, you got your like neighborhood department just trying to figure this out. Like they're not like out in New York. They're not like New York City detectives that are the best fighting crime. Like it's the town trying to figure it out for themselves. Like this feels so insular. Like you don't get to see the back wings of them, of Kevin Bacon's character with Lawrence Fishburne character. We don't spend that much time in the office understanding the hierarchy, understanding their process. So they're just trying to do their best. Anything?
Good bummer movie.
Honestly, it's such a bummer. Oh,
I'm glad I
it's
rewatched it, but that's not one that I would watch a lot.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to live in that. I don't want to go back to that headspace. But the genre of good bummer movies is a whole thing. We'll have to like rack our brains for
Like
other
I would
things that
rewatch
fit into
Memories
that.
of Murder before I rewatch this.
Yes,
Because that was also
agreed.
a better made movie. Also,
Yeah.
like Clint Eastwood, this was a really well made movie, especially for
Hmm.
somebody like Clint Eastwood, which is not like no disrespect, but he's just like a go, 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 go. Like this was definitely a step above in movie making. This wasn't just functional. This was a very well constructed and made movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it was out of the ordinary for Clint Eastwood at the time too. Like this wasn't a super genre western or like
Plot
a
driven.
Dirty Harry cop kind of movie.
Hmm. Hmm. It's quite. an internal movie. It's quite contemplative in a lot of ways, and there's a lot that's stewing beneath the surface for all of these men that some gets released, some still isn't yet. Good bummer movie. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, and there's no high kicks in this one for us to, get
That's
distracted by
true.
and have a lot of fun with. So that
It's
Right.
is
true.
a negative about this movie. There's not enough kicking.
Mhm.
If
It's
Lawrence
a real shame.
Fishburne had, double kicked Tim Robbins'
I mean,
character.
Yeah.
be pretty great.
We do get to see Sean Penn's hair do a lot of expressiveness. Like there's
Great
the
hair.
whole
Very
That's true.
like,
good hair.
and when he's nervous or he's stressed and he runs his hands through it, I'm like, that is a whole paid actor right there. That hair deserves an award as well.
It's very good hair.
Great prop for him to like touch and express feelings that cannot be expressed through the hair.
Mhm.
It's very, very good, very important. All right. Well, this was our review and discussion of this good bummer movie, Mystic River. You can find it available to stream, I believe, on a bunch of the video on demand platforms if you're looking to watch this movie. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Movies and Us. And a big thank you to you, Philip, for joining us for this conversation around this 2003 movie. We're throwing it back to the 2000s, getting to talk about Mystic River.
Well, thanks for having me.
Where can people find more of you, connect with your work, hear some of your thoughts about movies, and so much more on the interwebs?
You can find me over at The Substance Podcast. Type in The Substance to whatever your player of choice is, or The Substance Pod on the various socials. We do a lot of movies, do our substantive cinema shows. As of the recording, I think our most recent one was an underrated Scorsese gem, New York, New York, the movie he made in between Taxi Driver and Raging Bull that almost nobody talks about. Talked with an IndieWire contributor and a guy who's been in the movie business for a while, Jim Hemphill. That was great. But yeah, talking about all sorts of stuff over there. Pardon me. Sorry. We kind of run on the transcendentals, goodness, truth, beauty. So we don't only cover film, but we cover it quite a bit. But we've also had poets and activists and various people on lately. So if you are interested in anything that sounds like that, give us a look.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about Philip's pod is that he covers so many dimensions, types of media, types of topics, different perspectives. This really great kaleidoscope and set of offerings for people to really experience new things. So yeah, we'll include all of the show notes, all of that in the show notes, links to where you can find the Substance Pod and all of Philip's great work on the interwebs. So check out the show notes for that. All right, well, our name, Movies and Us, sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. So everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know what other great bummer movies that you have top of mind that might come to mind for you. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Movies and Us Pod, or email us at moviesanduspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcast, TV and Us. We'll be back next week to do a frame-by-frame episode. Philip, I think you'll be very pleased about this one. It is for Raging Bull. It's the you want your steak scene with Jake and his wife in the apartment where they have that fight. Great scene.
Wow.
Great movie. Even better movie. Oh, yeah. So,
Great bummer movie.
Yeah. Talk about a good bummer movie. That's a good one. Oh. Well, we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.